Hello, everyone. How are you again? It's good to see you. Um, I liked our norm therapy sessions. Welcome. Montez and, of course, his wife, Bobby, are our main patients over the last couple of months. We've learned a lot. Relationships are not easy, but they're not that tough either. Once you have established a manner of which you can communicate with one another, in which you can share information, whether it's negative or positive, once you get there, that's always a place where better relationships are served. Most people don't know how to communicate with one another for a variety of reasons. Oftentimes, it's just a plain old desire not to understand it. People will find themselves in circumstances where they decide that, I really don't care about this person in that manner. For instance, oftentimes in a relationship, people see a person and they think that person is the one for them. And what they begin to do right away is they try to come up with ways to change that person to accommodate what they're looking for in another person. And that never works. The only person that can ever change in any kind of relationship is the person itself. That's the only person that can change themselves, not the other person. They can cause you to make adjustments in your life and to modify your behavior and your acceptance of one another and how that looks and operate for its most and highest effective use. But at the end of the day, the only person who can actually establish change in your life is you yourself. This is not the case with Bobby and Montez, but that's just one of the reasons. Another reason relationships don't work is people don't have listening skills. They really don't know how to listen to one another, not because they don't want to listen, but there's a difference between hearing what someone says and actually listening to it. People can hear you all day and be as attentive as possible, but at the end of the day, they've not digested anything you've said because you have, in order to listen, there's a difference between hearing. When you hear something, it actually goes into your brain housing group and you are trying your best to understand it and put it somewhere where it actually belongs in your brain, of course, and try mostly, especially when it comes to people, on your logical side of your brain. When you are doing that, you're missing the truest essence of what's being said because you're not listening, you're just hearing. When you listen, you begin to not only understand, but to remember and apply it to your relationship. And how you get there is very simple. And that's through contextualizing your conversation with the other person. You have to put your conversations in context in order for them to make sense. So, it's different from me asking you, would you like to go to the store with me and get some supplies for the home? Versus, hey, let's go to the store and pick up that set of tools that we need so we can get the basement paneling up or wallpaper or something up. And then we can spend a little time uh, tearing up that carpet as well and putting down getting the floor ready for putting down tile and grout and all of that kind of thing. It's a whole different conversation because the other person's inclusive. It's in context, the reasons why you're going to the store, the impact of having gone to the store, when you get the supplies, what you're going to do with them, and you're pathing out an operation between you two. So listening skills are very required, especially when there's mutual interest in what you're doing. People hear you, but you're so 2D about what you're doing that they don't really get it. They get a flat or linear discussion with you about whatever it is that's happening, and they hear you. But when it comes to listening and they get that rich texture, 3D, they have an operative view and understanding of words and what's meaningful and not, and how it's applied and what's going to happen as a result. Listening then occurs, and then people start to digest one another. And the next thing you know, they're in tremendously healthy communication. Just want to explain that to you before we went into any kind of session tonight. One of the things I like about Montez, he loves to be clear. He really does. This guy hates to be mistaken for an idiot because he's not. And I think one of his fears in life is he's worried that some people don't account for him like he think he should be. But I think he's dead wrong there. I think oftentimes that we judge ourselves much more harshly than someone else would. And we hold ourselves to a higher standard that we probably never attained in our life, but we'll hold ourselves to that standard. And that standard will then strangle us. It'll put a stranglehold on us. Montez is getting much better at that, and I like it. But at the same time, he's still a guy that's kind of worried about what people think of him. And that will never bring him true uh, awareness of self. And I think that's important. When you understand you and you're okay with that and screw what everyone else thinks, I think that's a better place to start. And then when the people come along who matters in your life, and then they think something of you, then you can start strategically putting that importance somewhere where it belongs in your life and not the other way around. So without any further ado, I want to invite my friend Montez in. I think that it should be an interesting session because there's a couple of things I want to know. Are you there, Montez? Come on in. Let me see here. He's there. He's joining now. Now, in times when we have these sessions open on Thursday as well as Tuesdays, we're going to begin something after we complete our series with Montez and Bobby. We're going to have guests come on. We're going to talk about different abuse topics and industry topics. We're going to talk about people's lives and what they're going through. Have a questions and answers about narcissism and a few other hot topics when it comes to abuse care. And so look forward to that. So Montez, is he here now? Oh, there you go, bro. Good to see you. How are you today?
I'm all right, man. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Like the color of the shirt. Is that yellow or is it like a
Yeah,
green?
it's yellow, man. I went and bought me some Indiana Pacers gear and had to turn up, show up and show out, you know.
There you go. Indiana
Yeah,
Pacers. Well, there you go. If you like your sports, you have to, wear the paraphernalia to go with it. And all
yeah.
the memorabilia, you got to collect it all. But what's the best piece of memorabilia, sports memorabilia do you have?
Well, I'm I'm a late 80s, all the 90s shoe fanatic. And I mean like Bo Jackson, Bo knows. So those type of shoes, things like that, old school Jason Kidds or Penny Hardaway, stuff like Jerry Stackhouse, I
Back
gotta
in the
have it.
day. You got them
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
But aren't they very expensive these days?
No. Well, depending on the vendor, depending on the merchant, they can be. But man, they got deals. I seen deals at Foot Locker, $14, $15 Jordans, and I know Foot Locker is for real. And so,
You
shoot, how
can't.
many times? Yeah, you can't beat it.
How do they justify those $6,000, $7,000 pair of shoes? How is that justified? I'm really not in that world, so I'll ask you.
Well,
Why? How?
this is the thing. I'm not in that world either. Back in my day, it was Boss jeans and stuff like that. You
Enjoy
feel me?
that.
So yeah. So I don't understand the price or the tightness of the clothes. I'm not doing that. My boys ain't doing it. I know.
If I had a
but
billion dollars in the bank, I don't think I'd spend $6,000 for a pair of shoes. Uh,
no, I wouldn't.
or a pair of at least, not even sneakers. But
Nah.
yeah, I'm with you there. Okay, I've been dying to get to this subject. So since we're here now, let's have it. Tell me about your lifelong relationship with your mother. I think that's the number one barometer of measure for a man and a woman is his relationship or not with his mom. That's
Mhm.
a Sigmund Freudian kind of thing, and Isaac Asimov and whomever else have worked on this phenomenon. But tell me
Yeah.
something. But tell me something. Have you ever had a relationship with your mother?
When I was small, I can remember when I was 4 and 5 years old. vividly. And
Mhm.
when I was small, I had a great. I was one of the babies. My mom only had 4 kids at the time. I was the third one, and so then, yeah, um, after I was 4 years old, after I turned 5, my mom went back to Chicago, and we didn't see her again till I was 20, 25, 24, 25.
Why did she go back to Chicago?
Well, my mom was smoking crack cocaine, and you know how the low end of Chicago is 46 and Wabash.
Oh yeah.
My mama came from Tupelo, Mississippi, all the way to Indiana, and found out the cornfield wasn't where she wanted to be. She got to the low end, and my mom showed out.
So she
Um,
was hooked on crack cocaine, and that
yeah,
was epidemic back then. I
yeah,
remember. So, and it was probably devastating lifestyle for her. Can you
yeah.
describe what her lifestyle was like for the people who don't know?
Well, before the cocaine, my mom was a registered nurse.
Okay.
Okay, before, but then we were talking about the 80s. My mother was a registered nurse, but after the fact, she popped up. And I remember when I was a kid, I lived in Benton Harbor, Michigan with her. And if you know that corner up there from
Mm.
Kalamazoo to Flint to Chicago, all the way around the lake to Milwaukee, it's rough. Gary, Indiana,
All that.
all of
Yeah.
that. It's real rough.
Chicago.
Yeah. And she went up there to the projects, and she had 4 more kids. She had 4 more on top of the 5 that she had, because I got a brother that died in the 70s. But
Sorry to hear that.
she forgot about the 4 that she had, and she started living the same life with just 4 different kids, as if she just started life. And
You
it was a
started over,
whole lot of,
just kind of walked
yeah,
away from
yeah. It was a whole lot of cocaine going on. It was a whole My mother she was messing with she was in a relationship with the hitman from Detroit,
it. Mhm.
that molested my big sister. Um, they used to, make my sister watch them have sex and all type of stuff. They used to make us fight for no reason. We were little bitty kids. We had to fight the little white kids downstairs. I come from a family that didn't trust a lot of white people, and so everybody had that attitude. Um, and so hence I had it. You know what I'm saying?
Not
Um,
like white people is normal back then, especially in that part of the country, because it was
yeah,
a very public
yeah,
uh, understanding that part of
yeah.
the world that white people hated black people. That wasn't true for all white people, though. But that
No,
the general sentiment in the society in which we all grew up in that part of the country. Uh, like I said, Chicago, Illinois, parts of northern Indiana, or eastern, or yes, eastern Indiana, and all that area where it comes together. Um, all of that is pretty much one of the most segregated corridors, I think, in America.
yeah,
I think everybody's separate and hate one another, you know. But we can go on. And then your mom, you're saying she started a new life, or was she still doing crack when she started a new life?
yeah. And then she was doing it very, very, very bad. From '88 till about, I can remember around Christmas time, it used to be that my mom and my grandmother, we call her Ella Mama. Ella
Mhm.
Mama and my mother would come to Indiana and bring us Christmas toys and stuff. And then that time stopped. And then I know how to add very well. And I know when the oldest baby brother was born, he wasn't around. This is how I know what year it was. It was the year after. You see what I'm saying? And so um mom she popped up and called in like 1994. And me being 11 years old, man, I was an honor roll student at 11, but I wasn't smart enough to know that this was my mother. I was afraid. I was scared, and I hung the phone up.
Mhm. Her whole
I didn't.
presence kind of frightened you.
Yeah, it's because I was beginning to lose. I didn't know what her face looked like. All I know is that everybody said she was on drugs. Um, I heard about my mom was a fighting woman. She was a fighting Southern woman that came to the city, and I heard a lot of stories about that stuff. And I heard all the bad things. I never heard nothing good. And in my mind, at 11 years old, I didn't care. I knew what that was because I had sold some already. I didn't care about what she was using or what she was doing, so long as I was there. I felt like long as I'm there with my little bitty self, then I'll be all right. Everything will be smooth. And I didn't hear from her
How
no
did you
more till I
feel?
was 25. Huh?
How did you feel? Not just good or bad in terms of that, but how did you feel when she was no longer, one day she's there and then she's no longer there? Did that set you up for what?
I
Feelings
think
of,
it set me up. It set me up for a lot of stuff because see, I was the child that I never blamed my mom. I just wanted her, and I was willing to do. I was the child that was willing to do anything to get her, including go out and get in trouble. And there was times that I was dealing with the juvenile court system in Grant County, Indiana, and I am on record telling the judge, until you send me to my mother, I'm gonna do what I want. And I was only 13. He sent me to DOC after that. And so it's a lot of things that a lot of mistakes in my life that I made, a lot of decisions that I made. As a kid, they were all in an attempt to get with my mom. But you fast forward to 2016, me coming home from prison at 33 years old, and in Wisconsin, not from there, no one, never rode a bus. I marched up and down the street with a backpack to the food pantry to get food, and I got me a job. My first job, never had a job, and I never asked my mom for nothing. I just wanted a relationship with her, but mom see that I'm the one out of the four boys that was around up there in Wisconsin from 16 to 20. She see that I'm the oldest. I'm the one that always got a job. I'm the one that's always in school. I'm the one that's not getting in trouble by the police. I'm engaged to be married, and she played on that. And my aunt who raised me like she was my mama just died in October. And she begged Bobby. She said, "Bobby, don't you let Cherie, which is my mom, don't you let Cherie get up there and mistreat him." And I never know that my aunt had told my wife this, because I'll do anything for my mama. I went to jail. I got an armed robbery coming home 40 days out of Stateville prison. 40 days. I transferred to Wisconsin, and it took me 40 days to go back. I robbed someone in an attempt to try to help my mom. I step in the house and it smelled like crack cocaine. My brothers and it's mixing cocaine in a spoon, trying to rock it up so they can go get a sale off real fast. And just the type of things that I came to when I got to Madison, and I wanted to change it. And I didn't have documentation to get jobs and try to, So I said, man, I'm gonna get it with my know-how. And as soon as I found me something that looked like it'd scare somebody, I went and did that. And it took the U.S. Marshal came and got me after 9 days because see, I was a track star, so I ran. And I went to prison, man. I got 23 years. A lot of people think I just was doing what I want. No, I was gonna take whatever I got and try to help my mama's position. My goal was to buy her a house and get the mess up out of Wisconsin. You know what I'm saying? And
did
I went
you,
up there and I got stuck.
did you feel fooled, tricked?
I felt betrayed.
Okay. Betrayal is a very strong word and
Yeah,
very obvious that something along that line being used in that manner,
yeah,
definitely. But also, you've had years of being discarded or abandoned as well
yeah.
on top of that. But your unrelenting desire to be with your mother was your overwhelming focus.
Yep.
And it you paid the price for that.
Hmm.
Do you see the dysfunctionality in you that you had for following that vision?
I do. I see it big time. I feel it.
Well, we all learn from something. Too bad you had to learn from that.
Yeah.
So your mother has never really been at a pillar in your life. She's just been a fleeting thought or a fleeting desire to be with or a fleeting relationship. Would you say that?
I wouldn't use the word fleeting. I would say she's always been a heavy. She
Okay.
no matter if I have my mother or not, in my mind, man, I hear my mama talking to me, and she the toughest person that I know. She tougher than me. She's tougher on me, and she's just not a coming from the Robert Taylor. She's not no soft woman. She gonna tell
No,
you
no, no.
straight up.
No.
And
Robert Taylor Hall, I know him very well. Grew up there
yeah,
in Upper.
um, you might know her, but really you might. She just it. I say it was heavy. I wouldn't say it was fleeting because see, I can envision in my mind what my mother would be saying in certain situations.
Well, I
And
wasn't
I
calling her fleeting. I was calling the inconsistency of being able to be around her and to have her presence. It was
yeah.
always something that you were chasing. It was fleeting
Oh yeah,
in
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. Yes,
not
yes,
her, but the
yes,
actual activity you were going through.
yes, yes, yes.
So, so your mom, tough, and then you said she's tougher than you. She checked you when she needed to.
Man, too much. She called me a punk. She said, man, because Michael, it's like this right here. If me and you boys and we tight, I'm not the kind because I see I'm gonna keep me a job. I don't care how many it is this year. I'm gonna keep one. I'm not
Mhm.
the kind to go get something and my boy's sitting over here and his Air Force One's been up in the front, and I'm sitting up here fresh to death. No, I'm finna go get you a pair of shoes. You can pay me back, okay? And I would do things. I would go to K's and get her some diamonds, or I buy my fiance. I bought my fiance a leather couch, and I said I was so proud. I said, "Mama, look what I just got her." She said, "Man, boy, don't you come to me telling me what you did to somebody else till you do something for yourself." Cause see, I ain't never done nothing for myself. I don't think about myself. I'm expendable. I'm here to make sure I'm one of them giants that they talked about in the book of Enoch. I'm a watcher. That's what I am.
I believe that. I can believe that. But
Yeah.
here's the problem with uh, self-preservation.
Yeah.
You know, people always say self-preservation number one. Hell, you've heard me say it. Self-preservation is always number one. Take care of you first. That's always what we echo throughout histories of our lives. We do that. But the part we miss, the very part we miss, is there's a reason why you're taking care of you. And normally you're trying to take care of you so you can take care of somebody else. You have to be in a position having you whole so you can do what you need to do with others around you. People don't make that full circle with that. It's a never ending infinite circle. I get me ready to get something else done for someone else. They get
Yep.
themselves ready, gets themselves something done for me, and we complete that revolution over and over and over and over again. It just, I guess, life operates that way. It just comes back on. You have to be able to deal with it when they get there. Um, you say that you're like a watcher in the book of
Yeah.
Eden. Tell me, what has that been like for you to be a watcher?
I I told you in a session before that I had somebody try to put a gun in my mouth. What I didn't tell you was that my brother sent them to me. My baby brother, the one that I got 8 brothers, 2 sisters, and he's the only one that I got the same mom and dad. And he
Okay,
sent those people to me. You see
two
what I'm
kills.
saying? Yeah, but at the same time, I told him straight up, man, if you can't deal with it, if you can't handle it, you send it to me. And then after you send it to me, you go on about your business and get free and to see, and whatever happened to me gonna happen.
You
And that's how.
volunteered yourself. It
Yeah,
wasn't like he did it out of anger or out of hatred. He did it because he didn't know what to do, and you did. Is that what you're saying?
well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. He didn't run me under the gun, but he was the weak link. You ain't gonna press me,
Yeah.
but you can catch him and press him because see, I know how to stay out the way.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go to the club. I wanted to really hug the block.
So you know how to deal with that kind of confrontation.
Yeah,
Since you
yeah,
do, it's better that you go through it for him. And he's your baby brother,
yeah.
his brother, and he's your only blood brother directly in the same family that was born from the same mother. So you felt it incumbent upon you to take on that responsibility.
That's right. And as other things in my life, the same way, all my life.
How has that served you?
Well, it's bittersweet because as much as it hurt, man, I done big time. I done took big licks. I ain't dead yet. So as much as it hurt, it feel good to know for one that I was loyal enough to keep my word and have your back and be there for you and love you like that. But two,
Mhm.
to make sure that you secure, it make me feel like, man, I did my job. And yeah, I had to go through 5 years. Um, yeah, I felt bullets flying past my head. You know what I'm saying? I got jumped by 5 people, but you all right. And so I felt good. And I think that might be make that sounds a little crazy. And
No, it doesn't, because everything you just said, I can say to you, a bullet flying by my head, being jumped by 10 people, being shot at by 10 people at the same time, you know, all that special forces stuff and everything I could possibly imagine. And I've been through, but you are believing, and this is where I think you've hurt yourself with your selflessness when it comes to people that are important to you, is you've experienced,
excuse me.
bless you, a low end kind of gratification
Mhm.
because you really gotten out of it, but the pain.
Yeah.
Got the experience, yeah. I got a lot of experience from the pain I've gone through and the pain I've caused others. I can actually say,
Excuse
and
me.
you can too, but your pain was not as noble as mine, not because I'm better or worse than you are, but because my mission was different.
Yeah.
You come from the same kind of, really the same places. East Chicago. When I say really, they don't talk about East Chicago, Chicago in our last session, because that's normally considered Gary and that, and going into that whole
Mhm.
belt when it comes to Chicago. When you do speak of it, you normally talking East Chicago to Gary. That's
Yeah.
why I said that, and you caught it. I don't know if our
Yeah.
viewers caught it, but you definitely got it. But you're hurting every time you sacrifice you for someone else. You hurt. Now, does it give you gratification and some type of uh, power or euphoria or gratification that you did these great things for these people? Maybe. But now you have another purpose in life. You got a family, you got a wife, you got what happens if the strongest woman you know, your mom said to you today, if she said to you that, okay, I should say, let me rephrase that. One of the strongest women you know, your mom,
Mhm.
says to you today, I need your help. You need to get your ass down here right now. We need to talk. Da 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 da. You get there, you see that things are not going well. She wants you to do something that you otherwise wouldn't do. And it could cause you the loss of your relationship right now. It could cause you your loss of your family, the loss of your freedom, the loss of your vision forward. Would you do it?
If my mom called me right now and told me that she needed me, not we need to talk, but literally dire straits, yeah, I'm coming.
Okay.
And we
Going,
on
there's
yeah,
nothing wrong with going. But when
yeah.
you get there, what you gonna do?
Well, I'm gonna assess the situation first, and anything that's got anything to do with my freedom or disrespecting my wife, that who what she loves to look,
No,
her
it's
and
okay.
Bobby
Let it go.
yeah,
Yeah.
they bumped heads really well. And they bumped heads because for one, Bobby 9 years older than me. For
Mhm.
two, she's a white lady. My mama thought this was a hustle and it wasn't. I met Bobby in prison. I don't intend to change. And so she gets mad about that because see, her and Bobby are just alike. They done some of the same stuff, some of the same mistakes, all of that. And Bobby just happened to be a strong white woman and she ain't used to seeing that. And so they get mad, they bump heads, and I have to
Clash,
really
they
be
of course will clash
yeah.
because they're each one of their viewpoints, their
Mhm,
perspectives have a different kind of priority. And it's
mhm,
all oriented to you. Your
yeah,
mom's priority is to have you on her team, and Bobby's priority is that you are a part of her team. You guys
mhm,
are a team. So that is a clash. Instead of, I think, and I need to say this clear, any mom that exact of her son something that would encumber or hurt his freedom, really you need to put your mom in check. And I know that's
mhm,
hard to do with a strong woman like that, especially coming from where we come, but you'd have to say no to that.
mhm,
And I'm not saying, like Nancy Reagan, just say no to drugs. I mean, you have to say, hell no, I'm not doing this.
right,
And this is why I'll show up. But if there's any inclination whatsoever from anyone who's inclined to believe that I should put my freedom in jeopardy, put my life in jeopardy, unless somebody's trying to hurt your mother, that's the only thing I can see. If they're trying to physically hurt her, then, you need to be there for her, but at the same time, there's a thing called the police, but from where we come, you don't normally do that. You don't
Mhm,
call the police. And people
mhm,
don't get that. People hear it and they don't get it, but I got to throw it out there because other people hearing this will think that the way you do it is the right way to do it. And it isn't.
mhm.
That isn't the normal way. That's the exception to the rule sometimes.
Right.
And not just in Gary and Chicago, but all over
Anyway.
the nation, in the downtrodden or the underworld or the parts of society where most people have forgotten. That's how it operates. And police could care less if you're in danger or not,
Mhm.
for the most part. So I can see that if her life is in jeopardy. But anything other than that, I think that your priority should be your family right now,
And they are.
your wife, your children, your household. That should be your first uh, priority. And 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 when you say self-preservation, that's what you're preserving yourself. That's
Hmm.
why you're taking care of you, so they're okay.
Hmm.
That's a tough decision to make. When's the last time you spoke with your mother?
It's been about a year. We not
Okay.
on good terms. Me and my mother don't get along every time because I, I got a problem with authority. I got a problem with being controlled, and she is the authority. At how, sir, however old you are, if you came into her house today, she'll tell you that there are nobody else there. There ain't no other adults in this house but her. That means you, at however old you are, she's going to treat as if you're a child. I
Yeah.
had a problem with it at 25, and I'm gonna have a problem with it at 40. And so,
Nothing's wrong with that. I think standing your
right,
ground and putting
yeah,
up boundaries, bro, that's exactly what you need to be doing.
yeah.
But it doesn't always have to be on bad terms. But
Well,
I'll
she makes it that way because see, my mom's she's very smart, and she knows how to destroy somebody. She knows that I've been on
manipulate.
probation. Well, she'll call the probation officer and lie on me and say that I'm doing this or I'm doing that in an attempt to get me in trouble. She picks up hammers and lamps and wants to fight, things like that. And I'm gonna tell you, man, you've not been in my life long. You've not done nothing for me. You don't know the first thing about me for you to be picking a hammer up on me. So you got to be cool now.
So she hasn't earned the right to be bad in your life.
No, no, not to be bad because she's a human. She hasn't earned the right to try to assert herself and then gain control like you Genghis Khan or somebody.
I mean, that's exactly what I mean. To be bad to you. She
Be
hasn't,
bad to me. Yes, yes.
yeah, to be bad to
Yeah,
you. Well, of course not. She wasn't there for you. You were abandoned and you chased her your life. You got in trouble the whole way chasing her. She knew it. And then when you had an opportunity to be free, she put you right back on the chase, right in her face, right in front of her. She put you back on the chase. And the
mhm.
next thing you know, what happened? You ended up in prison again. You got 23 years for it. That's the longest stretch you ever had, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now, you're looking back on that, and there has to be some resentment and animosity, pain associated with that. And you know what? I always tell people this because they don't listen to themselves talk. You do. You're actually hearing me. You correct me about 3 or 4 times on the nuance of my speech pattern and the
Yes.
words I'm using and in the completion of sentences. You're paying attention. So if
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying and you don't want me to get it twisted, then you're damn sure not going to get it twisted from anybody else.
Right.
That's very eye-opening for me in a good way.
Yeah.
This is the kind of prowess and understanding that you need in order to get through anything in life, seeing it for
Yeah.
what it truly is. I think your mother could be the woman you love, one of the women you love the most in the world, and that you want to respect just as much. But if they don't put the same things on the table that you're expecting of them, then chances are they're not worthy of that respect. Because if you're not on good terms, then chances are and from what I've heard so far, there's ample reason that you're not on good terms. But that can be repaired too. That
Mhm.
relationship can be repaired. I think what you guys expect out of one another uh, is what's blinding both of you. She expects you to be this loyal minion that falls into place whenever you step in the house, and you expect her to be the supportive and loving and chiding mom that you can look at as an example. for your future, family or endeavors in life. You want to look at her as a champion of your life and a supporter. And those two things are not happening. And then with Bobby being of the same, I don't want to say sect of women, but more the same strong, toughness that your
Yeah.
mom possessed, that's going to always set up for conflict. There's going to be a great setup for conflict. Everything okay there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm just paying attention.
Okay. Of course you are. And I do this. Like this. Nothing happens around me without me knowing. So there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. But okay. You have a tragic story. You really do. And you've lived it for so long, you can casually say it, even though I've seen you choke up just a couple times. But um, you have a tragic story, and it's real, it's visceral, you can touch it. You're around people that are involved, and you can smell them, you can feel them, and you dread going to that house because you don't want to be subjugated to a lower level of existence when you walk into somebody's home, especially your mom.
Mm.
You don't want that. You don't want to be with a wife that nobody gets along with, other than, of course, you do have a wife that everybody gets along with. But in your mom's eye, she was a scam for you. Will probably always be in that realm of thought for her. And it's not her fault. She came out of Tupelo, Mississippi, and in Tupelo, and bless you,
Excuse
to
me.
be a registered nurse coming out of Tupelo says a lot. You fought a battle or two. So you have that to wrestle with. When the next time you plan on seeing your mom?
I don't. Because
What
see, this
caused
is the thing.
Wait,
This is why right here. She watched me grow and try to cultivate a relationship with this woman while this woman was still in prison. I didn't get out and forget about her. Okay, so that make it deeper. I didn't know her body, I know her mind. Okay, so that made it's different now. We built this relationship on something else.
very cerebral, very spiritual.
She and I'm
That's the
one
way
of them.
all relationships should work, by the way.
Yeah,
All relationships start cerebral, and
yeah,
of course, without sex and just get to know one another. That's what's missing in most relationships. That's why most of them fail. But go ahead. Good
yeah.
job.
I'm not gonna stand by and just listen to her. I'm not gonna watch her try to punk or bully my wife. I ain't gonna watch nobody on this earth do it. I'll go to jail if that's the case because I don't want her to feel like that or go through
We
that.
can't always make that your out. I'll go to jail then. Let's make it
Because
where I handle my business and move it out the way.
I feel like that's how far it'll get. Don't you know? It's a lot of people. It's a lot of black people. It's a lot of black women that hate me now, and that hurt my soul because see, I love my black. I love my people.
Of course.
Okay, but okay. I saw him in a relationship with a white woman. Now my people don't love me.
Yeah, but those people really don't matter. People who don't love you for who you love, F them. That,
Right.
that that's straight up what it is. I could care
Yeah.
less about that. If I were um, if we were in the days of old,
Yes.
then it would make sense that people had rivalries and hatreds and all of that. But we're in the 21st century now.
Yeah.
You got to grow up beyond that. And some people just don't. They just don't and they won't. I don't see a problem with black and white. How many black women I know with white men, or Hispanic women I know with white men, or Asian women I know with white men. And that's okay, but a black man with a white woman, that's a problem. You
Yeah.
know, exactly. Because black men in this particular role is historical, because you love history. Black men have been vilified with white women, literally vilified,
Hmm.
hung, uh,
Hmm.
shot, burned
Hmm.
alive, mobbed out and hung over a tree with a rope. It was so customary for a certain quota of black men to be killed in some places that people set up events around it where they sold goods out in the crowd and set up stands for lemonade and drink and liquor. So there's a vilification that went on with black men with white women. And that's the stigma. that's associated with it. So when everybody think black man, white woman, they think, oh, he must be raping her. And when they found out the majority of all these supposed rapes were not rapes at all, it was just some white lady who wanted to have an extramarital affair with a black man or a white man. They just blame it on the black guy. That went on for hundreds of years, really. But during Jim Crow, it was for decades and decades.
You know, my
That's
favorite, I
right.
think my favorite is instance of an interracial relationship where the participants in the relationship, they didn't waver and they didn't be afraid, and they were very affluent. Jack Johnson.
Oh, yeah, the boxer, the man
Oh
act.
yeah, yeah. Jack
Yeah.
Johnson was the baddest man. He had a white woman. He waved the middle finger up on you if you don't like it. He drove the fastest cars. He ended up dying, of course, but that man was solid. If he love you, he love you, and that's it.
They created the law, the Mann Act, because of
Yeah,
him. Because
man.
back in the 1920s, he was actually knocking out white men. And then he would go across the border to Canada or go across the border to New Jersey or wherever he went to evade the crowds of people that he had insulted by being with white women and drinking and all of that as the heavyweight champion of the world at the time. And so Congress got together and literally created, I think it was the New York State, and yeah, the Congress uh, colluded in developing the Mann Act, if I remember correctly. And the
Yeah.
Mann Act means that if you take a white woman across a border for the purpose of having sex or relationships with her, you can be arrested in any state in America back then. Now,
Yeah.
the Mann Act is still in play right now. It's still on the books. Look it up. It's still on the
Yeah.
books right now. But it's a law that was created just to go after black men who had white women.
Mhm.
And it's still on the books today. So I understand Jack Johnson, he's a bad boy, but his behavior, he didn't have to do that, but he did it
No,
anyway. He was making a
no.
statement. He didn't have to do that. He could have just been a champ, took his tons of money and beautiful women and just had a good life. But he decided to be loud and boisterous and
On
give
purpose.
it to the establishment. And the got tired of digesting. I think the same thing happened with Sam Cooke. I think
Yeah.
Sam Cooke became a victim of the establishment when he was dating someone down in, I think it was Mississippi as well. I can't remember where Sam Cooke died, but he disappeared or died mysteriously. Uh, One of the best singers probably in the history of Black people. People don't know about him. Often they'll hear his music and go, "Wow, that's a beautiful song," but they won't know it's him. They really won't know him. And right after the song, um, what was that? I was born by the river in a little tent. Yeah. After that one, change gonna come. Change gonna
Change
come.
gonna
And you grow up black, and you have to live through these uh, eras and these events. It's all about the same thing. Each generation of black people and white and others go through the same thing, except for it's different for black because blacks are normally at the bottom of the totem pole, going through it as a culture and being oppressed by normally mainstream America in some way, fashion, or form. Even though there's a lot of black doctors, football players, uh, police, you name the area of society, there are a lot of black people flourishing, doing well, never having these civil rights kind of problems. And when they do have them, they're normally taken care of with calm and cool. And we see on the news and on Facebook and on YouTube where we see people having confrontation with the police, but that isn't normally how it is. For 95% of America, it isn't that way. I'd say. But for that 5%, white or black, but mostly black, it is that way. And 10%, of people finding themselves in problems, let's say 10% of our society did that, that's 35 million people. And if half of those people, that are going through that, that's 18, 19, or 18 million people right in there, 17.5. So 17.5 million people minus whatever kinds of levels of confrontation they have with the police, authority, life, poverty, whatever that downtroddenness would have you. That's a lot of people, millions of people going through this every day on the low end of the stick, if you just do
Yeah.
simple math. One of the things that I think about often is sometimes people find themselves with a really negative attitude. I was trying to explain to you in our last session. And I know people don't understand that they negative think a lot. They just do. And it's been on my heart to keep talking about negative thought, because sometimes when you're complaining about something or commiserating about something or trying to overly control something or condemning something, when you're doing these kinds of behaviors, it's really a form of negative thought, and it'll get you in trouble because you're thinking more negatively and you don't even know it because you have genuine interest in what you're thinking about. I think that race relations in America has a long way to go, but I think it's come a long way as well. I really do. I think race relations have come a long way. We'll talk more about that in our ensuing sessions, especially with you and Bobby there. One thing I like about you two, you look beyond, even though you've had your color barrier problems, you've had them, both of you, but you still together.
Yep.
And you love your wife and you
Yep.
support her, and she loves you and support you, not in a way she's always done it or you've always done it. You've gotten better at it. You're doing it differently now, and it's for the lack of a better term, it's sticking. Would you say so?
Yeah, man, we talking weeks now. Yes, I would say so. If there's an issue in this house, it ain't between me and her. It's gonna be some kids, but it ain't me and her.
So you guys
And
are kind of like a team, and you're thinking
yeah,
alike, doing alike, and it's not bothering you
yeah,
to be on her side, and it's not bothering her to be on your side of the
nope,
issue. And that took communication. It's when people don't know how to talk to each other that they have confrontation and argument. When they
yeah,
don't know how, and when they're unwilling to learn a different way of doing it or appreciating that other person.
yeah.
But you guys definitely need to have that conversation for me so we can talk about it. I'd like for you guys, if you could, have a conversation with one another. What does it take to make you feel appreciated other than a thank you? It's got to be more to it than that. Because you said, just show me that, you acknowledge me the last time I asked you that question. It's,
I said, show me.
say again?
I said, show me though. That's the deep part, the show.
Yeah, of course. But the
Yeah,
only way a person can show you their appreciation is if you can see it.
right,
Sometimes people can't see the other person's appreciation, even though they're trying.
right,
Because
right,
it's not what you expect of them. The whole
right.
exercise of what I'm asking you is tell them, not just for one or two things, but 10 or 15 reasons why you want to be appreciated. And you can even talk about what you're already doing right now. You feel appreciated by
Yeah,
them. And find out what exactly you need out of your relationship with them in order to have that continuing and ongoing feeling of appreciation. This is not ass kissing or kissing anybody's rear by any stretch of the imagination.
yeah,
This is just, giving in to your relationship, letting your relationship be stronger than you. And your relationship has to be if you're going to be husband and wife. Are you sick still? Because
a
you
little
look like
bit.
you're not ready to just, you need to go blow your nose or something, knock yourself out. But
I need norm therapy.
oh, okay, well, there you go. Well, good, we can do that. But I think you're smart enough,
Yeah,
ways too smart sometimes. But in this,
yeah,
I think you're smart enough to sit down and look at yourself and say, you know something, bro, to yourself, of course. Um, this is what I need. I need this. I need that. I need this. I need someone to listen to me. I need someone who talks to me like that with respect without kissing my rear. Because our human nature is when somebody talks to you in a manner of almost servitude, like I serve this relationship. oftentimes, especially if we're strong people, we take advantage of that person because they seem weak to us. But you want to be able to be vulnerable about your around your woman and around your
Yeah.
wife, your family. You want to be vulnerable and not anyone attempt to take advantage of you or think that you're weak as a result. You know,
Yeah.
so these kinds of things when you're looking for appreciation, like when you used to come in and just start making dinner. You wanted somebody to walk up behind you and give you one of them woman hugs from behind. And, come on now, act like you know me. And then,
Yeah.
and you say, baby, she said, baby, da, 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 and let me get the table set for you. But what happened, you made that clear that that's how you feel appreciated. You want some affection, you want some wifiness around you. But what happened? The roles changed, and all of a sudden you come in, and now the food is ready, and stuff is
Uh-huh.
happening, and all that, and you just threw it out there, and I don't think everybody caught it, but you said it's been weeks. That's a
Yeah.
long ass time when it comes to you and Bobby, when it comes to
Yeah,
arguing,
dude.
isn't it? It's a
Mm-hmm.
long time, and because we get cocky in relationships. And I'm going to talk more about this in the future, but I want to quickly glance over it or pounce on it just for a minute. I don't want to glance, I want to pounce. And that is sometimes, for instance, when you have sex in any relationship, a person feels so familiar with you that they'll say something like, I'm in charge now, or like, yeah, you just had sex with me, so I'm going to treat you a certain way. Or if you get
Yeah.
them to go, yeah, he loves me, so I can say what I want to say, or she loves me, and I can treat her any kind of way I want. And we take gifts and niceties, and we take shifts in love and in power in a relationship, and we confuse them.
Mm-hmm.
We think that good feeling that we're providing the other person is sort of a currency. We use it as currency against the other person.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he loves me a lot now because I just did what he wanted me to do, and I cooked him a meal on top of it, and so now I get to get what I want.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of people think, and that causes a lot of arguments, and they
It's
don't even
condition.
know what they're doing. So again,
That's condition.
oh yeah, yeah, people are conditioned because a lot of relationships are transactional.
Yes.
And one thing a relationship should never be when it comes to love and family is transactional.
Yeah.
Once it's transactional, it will always be tit for tat. You give
Uh-huh.
this, I give you that.
Mm-hmm.
That's transactional love is the worst kind of love on the planet. It is so useless and it's so transitory, so temporary that it only goes with if you're with that person. There's nothing permanent about it. So that's not what you're doing now. That's what you've done in the past. That's what Bobby did with you in the past. Y'all were very transactional. You got to do this or I'm leaving. Or you do this or I'm gone. You can't say that to me or I'm going to do this. And you can't get in my face. It was like that. And you guys are finding that transactional stuff doesn't work.
Uh-huh.
It puts you in a place where you have to constantly defend yourself. And when a person says something out of character, even if they make a mistake, you have to be brutal with them because it's transactional. You don't have to respect or appreciate or anything else because it was a transactional deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, how does it feel living in an environment right now, Montez, where uh, transaction is not?
I mean, if it feels good. I understand what you mean by transactional. Um, I wouldn't label us as that now, right now.
Absolutely
Um,
not. I would not. Not from what I'm hearing and seeing between both of you.
no, I wouldn't because it's Michael. It's been great, man. It's been and before we even met you, man, you don't know what struggle. I had to go to jail 3 different times from having good jobs. I lost almost business type. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
it's been amazing, man. I feel like I got a couple of keys and know how to walk around tribulation a little bit. A little bit. I ain't get ahead of myself because I'm still a human being.
We can go to that to
Um,
next session. This is something I need to do real quick.
yes, sir.
Everybody's asking this one question. When you got your driver's license, don't we put a pin in that, and I'm sure Kelly made a note. I want to talk about the trials and tribulations with you to be sitting right where you are. But I want to get a couple questions into you, if that's okay, before we end the session.
Yes.
The first question is, how's the conversation go with you and your dad after you got your driver's license?
See, my dad, he used to think he was O.J. Simpson in the 70s. And so when you have a conversation with him, it's that type of vernacular. I can dig it. Man, baby, that jive turkey, all that stuff. And so I was about 10 jive turkeys, and he was real happy. I could see a smile on his face, and I'm 3 hours away from him. I could see him.
Good times, good times.
Yeah,
Remember the show
happy
Good
for
Times, the projects?
yeah.
Yeah,
JJ.
yeah, Jay, that's it. I remember those kind of jive turkey,
Yeah,
dynamite and all that. That was real.
yeah,
People didn't understand black people talk like that, really.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
but they amplified it on, I think it was Norman Lear, producer,
Mhm.
amplified it on television. Uh, and they, of course, made a comedic understanding of it. We got 3 minutes left, so I'm gonna ask you another question if that's okay with you. I didn't mean to
Yes,
cut
sir.
you off in your trials and tribulations because I tell you something, brother, that's a 30-minute conversation and we'd never get into the meat of it. But we will come
Yeah,
back to it, I promise.
yeah.
Um, what's the biggest change within yourself that's made a useful difference in your life?
I ain't got to think about it. I can tell you, and I don't like to talk about how I see myself changing because it sounds almost it don't sound like it's humble. It don't sound humility. It don't sound like humility. But what I can tell you that I think that I'm doing and I think it's working between you and church. I got the same message one day in the beginning of the week and in the middle of the week. I got the same dang on message. I went to a new church. My stepkids came down here, and the preacher looked like me. He didn't. He dressed like me. He had the demeanor like me. He just changed his ways, and I appreciate that. And he said something about don't. He said don't bite. He told me not to bite. He said whenever something is happening in the midst of everything that's going so great, man, it's the devil, and you can't bite. And so I heard you say almost the exact same thing. And I got a problem with reciting things in my head. See, I write poetry and I remember. Repetition brings memory, you know what I'm saying? And I remember. And I
Well, it
haven't been
says in the
biting.
Bible, doesn't it say somewhere that any two people that confirm anything under God will actually occur?
Yeah,
And it's yours. You can claim it.
yeah.
Now, I'm not the most religious guy in the world. I just be
No,
very,
no, me neither.
never been. But I will tell you that scripture is important,
Yeah,
very important. And your pastoral relationship you have with your pastor, with the other congregants and people who attend your church. I think that's important to have that kind of community, especially when you're looking for another path.
yeah,
And you did. I'm used to what you see is what you get, but I had to change my ways.
yeah.
People say, well, have to be humble, turn the other cheek. I've always thought that was BS. I'm sorry, that's just BS. But because they don't read the rest of the passage. The rest of
Right.
the passage says, but hold on to your sheath. Means grab your knife. Slap me, but grab your knife.
Yeah,
Grab your
yeah,
sword.
yeah.
So, you don't have to be for the lack of a better term, a punk or such a humble person that you perceived as a coward. So
Mhm.
we'll talk about this hopefully starting up in our next session. I enjoyed today's
Thank you
session.
for telling me that.
Yes, but there's another part of that verse, another part to that parable that has to do with protecting yourself and
Yeah.
not just being humbled, you know.
Okay.
But if you enjoyed and got something out of today's session, please show your support by sharing this video, subscribing to our channel, of course, making comments and, you know, being involved, but also liking it. Our next norm therapy session with Montez will be Thursday, March 7th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please, of course, go to goarrow, GOARO.org, goarrow.org. Arrow stands for Abuse Refuge Organization, Abuse Refuge org. So goarrow.org or to norm therapy. And it's not my normal I want you to have. It's us to help you find your normal. So if you would like to get sessions with norm therapy, We tackle over 21 abuses we champion. So we're not just talking about some of the subjects we talked to Bobby and Montez about. We're talking a wide range of subjects from financial abuse, child abuse. We deal with narcissistic abuse and many other types of abuses that is very commonplace and germane to our society these days. And I want to go back into saying, if you would like to become a norm therapist, go to contact@normtherapy.com. Reach us that way, contact@normtherapy.com. If you'd like to get sessions, go online and purchase our sessions, and we will be alerted and we will set you up with a qualified norm therapist, an experienced one as well. Thank you very much, Montez. It was great talking to you tonight.
You too.
I really appreciate the candor and honesty you displayed. And we have a few more things to work on, but I think you are definitely on the right path. We all fall short and backslide from time to time. Just when you're doing that, remember what you just told me. You have to change your ways. Always keep that in mind. I think you'll be fine. I look forward to talking to you next couple of days. Okay, brother? Say hello to your family.
I will. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too, brother. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.